This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations. You're listening to Now Breakfast.
A federal high court in Lagos has nullified the sale of Nigeria Air to Ethiopian Airlines. The controversial sale had been carried out under the previous administration of then-President Muhammadu Buhari. The parties who had taken the case to court argued that the bidding process for Nigeria Air was fraught with irregularities and favoured Ethiopian Airlines while excluding local airlines from the bidding process. Aviation expert Wale Shadare joins me this morning to discuss the implications of this judgment. Good morning and welcome to the conversation, Mr. Shadare.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's start off, right? This is a judgment that's already been had. How do you expect it to be received within the industry?
Yes, it has been well received. That judgment came 2 days ago, but like I say, a lot of people have moved on from Nigeria Air because of the way the airline was going to be set up by the former Minister of Aviation or by the former administration. It was very received. Those who received it as good readings, saw it as an opportunity to try and do something better in the future.
There are questions on what it means that we entered into this deal with, for all intents and purposes, right, an outsider, in some ways a foreign investor, and then now we've gone back on it. I know that there were contentions, but do you expect it to impact how investors view the aviation industry in the country?
Absolutely, but at the same time, we must do things that will look very, very transparent. In the beginning, a lot of us saw that that project wasn't looking like something that was very, very transparent. But what I'm going to say is that we shouldn't stop people from investing. What we need to do is to make sure that those investments are good, are thorough, and are for the interest of the people. There's nothing wrong totally with having a national carrier, but the way it was set up, a lot of people were not comfortable. Even if it was set up well, the airline operators will still complain because what they want was a kind of monopoly. They don't want Nigerians to have a national carrier, but they've always argued that it's not true that they don't want Nigeria to have a national carrier, but the way it was set up. We know how this, how they truncated this, how they went to court and all the rest. Yes, the investors have always been scared of investing in Nigerian aviation industry because of the inconsistency of policy, inconsistency of not making things look transparent, and the fear that when a new administration comes in, the tendency that project will be cancelled is very high or reviewed is very high. So yes, it will shake investors' confidence because Ethiopian Airlines came into this project with the hope that they are going to offer one of the best services or the best services in terms of airline businesses. Because we know Ethiopian Airlines is the biggest and most successful, most profitable airline
on the
Africa.
continent.
Yeah, so it wasn't a surprise that Ethiopia came to invest in the airline. But Ethiopia didn't have problem. It was the shares that were sold to some investors that they caught queries that said it wasn't transparent. Of Ethiopian Airlines, I think they really wanted to invest, they really wanted to compete, and it will also give them opportunity to serve well, and also give Nigeria the opportunity to have a national carrier that we have not been able to have since 2003 when Nigeria was liquidated. We've had about 2 attempts at setting up a national carrier that hasn't worked. We remember Virgin Nigeria that was very successful, but when the new administration came in, the whole project was completed, and dancing. One of the investors took his aircraft, took his investment in it, and that was the beginning of the end of Virgin Nigeria. So we need to be very careful with what we're doing. The airline, the local airline that went to court to institute this, they also did it out of selfishness, even though some claim that it was for the interest of the country. Because when you look at the whole thing, Ethiopia, most of these airlines don't want it to happen because they want to continue to operate. But they have not been able to fill the void.
Right.
They have not been able to fill the void. Only airpeace. And what is the capacity of the operation that airpeace is doing? Very, very minimal. In London, only London, was doing Lagos, Dubai.
There are a few other lines. Yes.
Yes, he was also doing Joburg, but up to today, he's not flying to Joburg, and South African Airways is coming to Nigeria from Joburg. So we need more players in the industry for fares to be cheaper.
Well,
it's still a monopoly in a business that shouldn't even be a monopoly.
I believe this is where we'll perhaps be watching out to see what the federal government does in terms of making the sector a lot more viable for these investors to come in. Mr. Shadari, unfortunately, because of time, we can't carry the conversation further, but I do want to say thank you for joining me and for sharing your thoughts on the matter. I appreciate it. Mr. Wale Shadari is an aviation expert speaking to me on a court judgment here in Lagos that has nullified the sale of Nigeria Air to Ethiopian Airlines. The foreign airliner had acquired a stake in Nigeria Air. This was under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari at the time. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return on Now Breakfast, Brands Now comes your way.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.